Evening and welcome to St. Peter's Hove. I'm Father Alexander, and tonight we're going to finish off the book of Proverbs. And this is our 209th step in our walking tour through the Bible. You might think we've been going through the book of Proverbs rather quickly, and yes, we have, because I'm not going to discuss the collection of Proverbs, which goes from chapter 10 all the way through to chapter 31. You can take them or leave them, and frankly, I have to say this, I can leave them. And that's the nature of a walking tour. You can speed up when things get a bit boring, and you can slow down when things get interesting. So we speed up through all those chapters, but we slow down dramatically to chapter 31, the 10th verse, when we consider the poem of the perfect wife. Now, this is a sort of appendix to the book. The book is a compilation, and whoever compiled the book of Proverbs thought, well, this just has to go in. The poem of the perfect wife is an alphabetical poem, so it's 27 letters or whatever you have in Hebrew, each one beginning with the first letter, the second letter, and so on and so forth. What's so good about the poem about the perfect wife is it allows us to confront that old question that the Bible is an anti-feminist document or is a book or collection of books which gives women a bad press. One of the reasons for this is, I suppose, that in the very first pages we meet Eve, and let's face it, Eve doesn't come out of it particularly well. Eve is a bit of a disaster. Now, that doesn't mean that all women are disasters or that everything that goes wrong can be blamed on a woman. However, in the book of Proverbs, we do have this idea, don't we, that the man who seeks wisdom must keep at arm's length immoral women. And immoral women are the first, and it seems only, danger that the scholar, the wise man, or the man seeking wisdom can encounter. So women are bad, is what the book of Proverbs seems to be saying. Women are temptresses. If you don't end up well, it's because you fell in with some woman who leads you down to Sheol. Women are death and damnation. It's actually a pretty damning picture of women. However, let's remember in the Bible there are lots of virtuous women, lots of resourceful women, lots of clever women, such as, of course, in the history books, Ruth, Naomi, indeed Rahab the prostitute, very clever woman indeed, and of course Tamar, people like that. And indeed even Jezebel, who, although she is wicked, is certainly admirable in that she is a highly capable woman. So you can't help but admire her. Now we have an anonymous woman who is the perfect wife. The truly capable woman, starts off my translation, who can find her. She's far beyond the price of pearls. Her husband's heart has confidence in her. From her he will derive no little profit. Advantage and not hurt she brings him all the days of her life. She selects wool and flax. She does her work with eager hands. She is like those merchant vessels bringing her food from far away. She gets up while it is still dark and gives her household their food, giving orders to her serving girls. So this woman is a manager. She gets up and she's a very hard-working woman. She does spinning and weaving. She tells people what to do. She's an authority figure in her own house. But it's not just her own house. Because I think if it was just her own house, then you could say, oh, well, yes, this isn't really pro-woman. It's saying women should stay at home and mind their own business. It's not saying that. Because it goes on. She sets her mind on a field and then she buys it. With what her hands have earned, she plants a vineyard. She puts her back into her work and shows how strong her arms can be. She knows that her affairs are going well. Her lamp does not go out at night. In other words, she is a businesswoman, she's an investor, and the field and the vineyard and things like that. These are things naturally outside the house. So she goes out, she makes judgments, she handles money, she owns stuff. Please remember there are many countries in Europe where women were not allowed to own things until fairly recently. There are still countries in the world where women are not allowed to own anything. Their husbands or their fathers or their brothers own it for them. She holds out, not only is she a strong businesswoman, a hard-working businesswoman, a sharp businesswoman. Nobody's going to pull the wool over her eyes. She's also charitable and kind-hearted. She holds out her hands to the poor. She opens her arms to the needy. Snow may come. She has no fear for her household. With all her servants warmly clothed, she looks after people. She makes her own quilts. Good Lord. She really is a domestic goddess, isn't she? She is dressed in fine linen and purple. If you remember, we have in the Acts of the Apostles Lydia, who was a merchant of purple dye, somebody who owned a business. And this woman, too, is an owner of a business and one who advertises her business acumen by dressing well, by power dressing, as we would call it. Her husband is respected at the city gates, taking his seat among the elders of the land, because he's got such a wonderful wife, you see. She weaves materials and sells them. She supplies the merchants with sashes. She's clothed in strength and dignity. She can laugh at the day to come. When she opens her mouth, she does so wisely. And her tongue is kindly instruction. She keeps good watch on the conduct of her household. No bread of idleness for her. Her children stand up and proclaim her blessed. Her husband too sings her praises. Many women have done admirable things. Think of the women of the Old Testament. But you surpass them all. Now, there's one thing we haven't heard about this woman so far. We don't hear, let's say, the same thing about Ruth. We don't even hear it about Jezebel, come to think of it. We're not told she's beautiful. In other words, she's not there for her physical appearance. She's there for her other qualities, her intelligence, her acumen, her shrewd management, her wisdom, but not for her beauty. This is not somebody who's chosen, the husband hasn't chosen her because she's beautiful. And this is underlined in the last few lines, he says, charm is deceitful and beauty empty. The woman who fears the Lord is the one to praise. Give her a share in what her hands have worked for, and let her works tell her praises at the city gates. Now, I think this is a truly feminist document, this poem of the Faithful Wife, because of these last two couplets. It's not about what you look like, it's about what you can do. And I think that is, it seems to me anyway, a foundational feminist idea. And indeed, men should take that on board. Don't concentrate on your looks. Concentrate on what you can do, what you can contribute. Your looks are irrelevant. Okay, looks are important, but that is only in the eyes of the superficial. In fact, quite often we praise looks when looks are our least important attributes. Oh, I like the look of this. Well, why don't you taste it first and see if you actually like it? You know, I go for this cake with the bright icing, but it actually isn't a very nice cake, and so on. We live in an age of surfaces, as Oscar Wilde so brightly said, and we're foolish. True beauty is to be found beneath the surface. Don't be deceived by appearances. As Shakespeare so rightly said, all that glisters is not gold. And of course, if you remember all those people busily committing adultery in the earlier part of the book of Proverbs, they were taken in by the deception of good looks. And I think, therefore, judging women or judging men by their looks is a very bad thing to do. It's superficial, it's vanity. We shouldn't do it. It's unchristian as well, because we should be looking at the moral worth of a person, not their pulchritude. And then it says, give her share in what her hands have worked for. Let her works tell her praise at the city gates. In other words, because she's contributed, she deserves her share. Her share of what? Of what she's contributed. In other words, she isn't just to be somebody in the background, she's to be in the foreground. Give her what is her due. Give her justice. And of course, feminism has often been misunderstood, but essentially, it is a struggle for justice. It's saying, equal work for equal pay and things like that. That is simply justice. And then it says, and it's not just economic justice, it's also sort of moral justice. One of the things about ancient people is they did believe in renown. That is to say, if you did great things, you deserved a reputation, you deserved praise for your great deeds. So King David, for example, is a hero and is praised by everybody because of what he's done. Let her works tell her praises at the city gates. Now, the city gates is the sort of meeting place of people. Well, let's hear about her for a change, shall we? That's enough of King David or whoever it is. Let's not hear about just men. Let's also hear about the perfect wife, the perfect housewife, the perfect woman who has done so much and whose reputation has perhaps not been given the praise it deserves. I think this is a truly, truly feminist tract. I think it's a wonderful passage. I think it's a great poem. I think it's one of the masterpieces of world literature. Incidentally, what I don't think this is an allegory of wisdom. I think when it talks about the truly capable woman, it means the truly capable woman. And I think it would be anti-feminist to say, no, this isn't about women at all. This is about lady wisdom or something. No, actually, it's about women. And whoever wrote this, I suspect probably a man, strongly believed in giving women their due. I think it's a brilliant passage. I do hope you enjoy it. And that concludes the Book of Proverbs. Au revoir. Goodbye. I hope you've enjoyed it. See you again soon.